Steve Bowers welcoming you to Front Row here at EPlusTV 6, our look at public education of the Jackson-Madison County school system. We have several guests coming up with us today. Joyce Champion will be with us, and Margaret Dugan will be here, as well as Dr. Brian Chandler and Catherine Korth. We're going to delve into several things as we go through the transition with Vision 2020. We begin with a conversation with Ginger Carver, who is the Marketing and Public Relations Specialist with the Jackson-Madison County School System. It's always good to see you.
Good to see you.
I want to ask fundamentally how it's going.
It's great.
We'll be the marketing PR person. I wouldn't expect you to say anything else.
That's right.
We'll get the real deal after the show. No, what I find in talking to people, I mean, you know, school year transitions are challenging enough if everything basically is the same. It's I don't want to, well, unsettling. I think would be a fair thing for everybody, just in the sense of kind of trying to assess. You really don't know where all this is going to go.
Right.
Hopefully, it's going to work and all these other things, and so it adds. Both challenge and anxiety to people. And,
change is always hard.
It's a tough thing. I mean, we've been through this, we've talked about this before. I mean, when you go back and look at the history of Northside High School or Southside High School, we closed a lot of schools to make those campuses happen. And I'm sure in the 1940s and 50s, that was highly disruptive to people and shifting them out of community settings to which they had been accustomed and to which they had a great deal of loyalty. We still have some of those campuses today, like with the Pinson School, where people have obviously, out of affection, maintained those facilities. So it's always a challenge, and so wish the best. We have a lot of events that are coming up, and we sometimes are reluctant to do these because it dates the program. We'll run this all during the month of March, but several things to note that are coming up soon. We got a ribbon cutting coming up about a special library here.
We do. It's we have an event called Barker in the Park, and this is for our ESL community, which is our English is the second language community. Okay. They are going to be developing a take a book and return a book type library, which is like a free exchange. Okay. It's going to be near North Park. We have a lot of families that live in that area, and this is just going to be a great opportunity for them to have their own little library in that area. They're going to have a lot of activities with this. This is going to be this Saturday, March the 12th, and this is also in conjunction with Thelma Barker Elementary.
How large a community is the second language?
It's growing.
Is that right?
It is growing. And Thelma Barker has a lot of students that are in that community as well. So this is a growing community in our area, but also in our schools. Okay.
How do the school system work to handle that?
We have an ESL whole department for that group. We have teachers that work with the students within the schools. They have their own classroom setting. They pull the students out of some of their classrooms and work with them. Okay,
and it's a growing segment.
It is.
Growing segment here. Okay. I know we have the Color of Music that art students are participating in this coming Saturdays. We're doing this program. We're doing this early March, and that's on the 12th, and that's a showcase of art at the Carpenter and Civic Center at the lobby. So if you can catch that, it's always a great show. And they had. I forget how many they said they picked 300 finalists or whatever.
I want to say it was over 5,000 entries
from students all across this region. So that's quite an impressive program. Glad to see the symphony and the people that support that continue. What else we got coming up?
We also have a spring parent workshop, and the topic for this workshop will be a day in the life of a JMCSS student.
Okay.
So this is going to give parents the opportunity to go into, this will be at North Parkway Middle School. All right. And it's going to be March the 15th from 5 to 7 p.m. And it will give the opportunity for parents to go in and sit in on a classroom, how that classroom works, to go into the library, find out how students study, what tools they use to help them study and what tools they use throughout their day. And they're also going to get to participate in a PE class. So a lot of different levels there.
Okay. Now, is this for parents of middle school students, or is it for
any students? Any students across the district.
How do you register for that, or
you don't just come?
Just show.
Just come.
So that's on the 15th of March at North Parkway Middle School.
It is from 5 to 7.
So where do I go when I get to the
Just
school?
come in the front door, and I'm sure there'll be someone to greet you there and kind of give you a timeline of where the different activities, and it probably will be in different sessions. You know, depending on especially how many show up. Okay. They'll probably break them up into groups.
Okay. Even phys ed.
Yeah. That ought to be fun.
It's not what I was thinking, but you know,
it'll be lots of fun. Okay. And there'll be other things that they get to learn as well and see what activities students take part in throughout their day in the school.
Dodgeball, I can see that coming right now. Okay, we'll see what goes. Okay, we have a very, very important step that's coming up, and that's the lottery. And that's coming up the 17th.
It is.
That's going to be done at the central office. So we got high school and middle, we've got many moving parts in the situation now. So.
And if your student has applied for an open enrollment slot, or if your student has applied to one of our schools that require application, And that will be in the lottery, like
What would an
Madison and
example of
Bemis.
that be, then, Ginger? The application process is for,
Those are for Madison Academic,
okay,
also for the
like a Montessori?
the Montessori
okay.
school as well. Academic Academy, those are a little bit different. Those are not really in the lottery, so those will be notified individually.
Okay.
But if you have a student that's applied through open enrollment, those will also be given notice at that time.
If I'm new to the community or whatever, then how do I plug into this or find out about this?
You can contact the School Service Center. Kim Butler is in
Okay.
charge of our registration and open enrollment.
Okay.
She is the contact for that. Now, all the open enrollment and application process, the dates are passed, other than for early college high and for the academic academy.
Okay.
Those are still open at this point.
All right, so what is the academic academy now?
That's the middle school at
Middle school.
Northeast.
Okay, Northeast,
The-
okay.
The sixth through
And
eighth
then the
grade.
early college high, which is located now?
At JCM Annex.
Annex, okay. All right, so all that is in place. It's on the 17th. You can attend this,
You
right?
can. You're not required to attend. They will do the lottery drawing there. This is with an outside agency that comes in and does this for us. They will post those on our website, and you'll also be notified by letter.
Open enrollment applies to how many campuses now? Or does it apply to most?
It's going to depend on the enrollment at those schools, how many
schools?
slots are available.
Okay. So, all right, so how will I know then? Can I just check with an individual school if I'm interested in that school to see if there's slots available?
You can.
Well, that's already passed, though, you said. The application
Well,
deadline's
and
already passed.
it's kind of a tricky situation this year, and when we're talking later, we can probably give more clarification on that, because our students have registered, most of them, but we're still in the process of getting each school population placed at this point, so it's still going to take a little bit of time. But
Okay, all right. All right, well, that should be an interesting day coming up. That's on the 17th, then, and they will be posted at jmcss.org.
Correct.
And if you need to talk to someone about this in advance, Kim Butler is the person to talk to.
Correct. If you have questions, she's the go-to person on that. Then, of course, we've got spring break coming up soon.
Okay, that's this month, all right.
The kids want to hear that. That's the 21st through the 28th.
All right. Just in time.
Just in time. I think everybody's ready. The springtime is here, so we're ready for a short break because we've got to get back and get to some of our testing that's going to be going on.
All right.
As I said a little bit earlier, we were still accepting applications for the Jackson Central Mary Early College High.
Okay.
We'll be taking those. That will be for 9th and 10th graders this year.
Okay.
This will be the only year that we will accept 10th graders.
Okay.
But those
slots are open.
Those are open, and you can get the application online or at the School Service Center.
The movement of the medical curriculum to Southside, okay, is that the medical part that was at the early college high, or is that a separate?
That is what was previously at JCM.
JCM, okay.
Those students can complete that program at Southside
At
High School.
Southside, okay. But that's separate from the early college high, because there's a
Correct.
medical component of early college
Correct,
high, right?
that is
Okay.
separate.
So that's a separate thing. So, but that will be transferred into Southside.
Yes.
So if you parent a child there, then can keep up with that. All right.
Correct.
Okay.
And then we've also got a Talent Discovery Day. We're going to have those again this year. You know, we started those last year where we have
For prospective employees.
where we have openings. They can come in and talk with our principals, all the principals of each of the schools.
Okay.
We have a representative.
When will that
there.
be?
That will be Saturday, April the 2nd, from 9 until 12, and that will be at the School Service Center as well.
Okay. It's okay if we call it central office still, or is that?
Sure.
Okay, all right. School Service Center. All right, now is that certified and non-certified employees, or just certified employees?
just certified.
Just certified employees, okay. But you will have an opportunity to meet with principals? won't you?
Yes, and actually,
If I already have an application in with the system, should I show up for this?
Probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
Okay, all right.
This will just be an opportunity. I mean, they will have the opportunity to have interviews there that day as well.
Okay, all right. When we come back, we're going to talk to George Champion and to Margaret Dugan. We're going to be talking about the Transition Academy. The Transition Academy is?
This is for our special needs students that are from 18 to 22
Okay.
to help them transition into adult life.
All right. We're going to find out details of that as we continue, and Ginger will be back with us later in this program. This is Front Row, our look at public education in the Jackson-Madison County school system here at EPlusTV 6.
With the whole family online these days, speed matters. Good thing EPlus Broadband has the consistent speeds it takes to keep everyone happy. In the den with a tablet, streaming a movie in HD, on the home office computer, and using Wi-Fi on a smartphone instead of using up your data plan. It can all happen at once with no waiting. Speed matters. Call, click, or visit Jackson Energy Authority to get set up with EPlus Broadband Internet today.
I could change the world. I would be the sunlight in your universe. You would think my love was really something good, baby, if I could change.
Make a difference. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Jackson Police, what do they do? And why do they do what they do? EPlusTV 6 Roll Call, an update on the people and the work of the Jackson Police Department. A new show every 2 weeks. What they do and what we can do to make a difference in Jackson. Roll Call now includes you, exclusively on EPlusTV 6.
Hi, I'm Franny Smith, host of EPlusTV 6 cooking show, At Home on the Range. Our show features some of Jackson's best cooks, regular folks just like you and me that enjoy home entertaining and sharing their culinary skills. Join us each week as our guests share favorite family recipes, tips for entertaining, and delicious fare from the natural gas kitchens at Kaufman's Home Furnishings and Appliances. Have fun with local folks who are going to help you feel more at home on the range.
Welcome back to Front Row here at EPlusTV 6, our look at public education in the Jackson-Madison County school system. We're going to talk about a special segment of the school population, and it has a great history here. There was a time in public education that you had to be deemed capable of being educated to be involved in public education. And that's why in the history of this city, there were things such as the Cerebral Palsy Center that were invented, the Kiwanis Center, Madison Haywood Developmental Services, other things, in order to provide services for people that were not accepted into the public school system. That has changed over the last decades, even though those organizations are still here and still do valuable work. And our guest right now, Joyce Champion, who is the special ed consulting teacher, and Margaret Dugan, who is an instructor in special education, are with us to talk about the Transition Academy. There are students that will stay in the Jackson-Madison County school system until they are 22 years of age, and they are those that are classified with special needs. And so the Transition Academy is a new step in providing education opportunities and adult transition for these individuals, targeted for individuals that are 18 to 22.
Correct.
Joyce, what is happening with those students and individuals now, currently, or up until now?
Well, Steve, without fail, every year we get calls from parents, from students who have graduated from the program at 22. They call to find out, well, what can I do with my child now?
Wow.
And I mean, they're just at a loss at what to do. And what we want to do is to prepare them for better outcomes after they leave the school system.
Are they being handled at each campus now, or what is happening with the individuals there? So it's all a separate situation at each campus, all right? So, and
Yes.
Joyce Champion and Margaret Dugan are with us, and they worked in it. So the Transition Academy is part of Vision 2020, and it's going to do what?
Well, we currently service all of these students.
How many students are we talking about, too?
60 students that are to 70 that are served system-wide, that are 9th, 10th, and 11th, and 12th. And approximately 20 will be attending the Transition Academy that fall into that age category.
Okay, for that 18 to 22.
Yes.
Okay, so this will be specifically targeted to them. And like I said, and after, we've done a lot of fundraising in this community down through the years for the Cerebral Palsy Center and other things, and many of those individuals are still in some type of care with extended programs through the Therapy and Learning Center and other things. So it's a real challenge for families, parents, and for the individuals themselves. And sometimes people are in these situations as a result of accidents that occur later in their life with serious trauma, brain trauma, and other things. So it's a multifaceted need that is being met. So the Transition Academy will bring those individuals, 18 to 22, into one location.
Correct.
It will be where?
At Northside High School.
Okay. And so what will happen in this program? Then what do you want to see happen that's not happening now, Joyce?
Well, we want to shift from an academic focus to a focus where we're going to train them for the workplace. We want to train them in the soft and the hard skills. We want to train them how to behave appropriately in the community, how to access community things, you know, on their own. We want to provide them with a better quality of life in their homes. And so there will be a lot of things that we'll be training them.
Okay. Now you're working currently at Liberty. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Been there since they opened.
Oh, is all right. Okay. All right.
Love Liberty.
So what attracted you into this move, into this focus then?
Our hearts became increasingly burdened with the harsh reality that no matter how hard we tried, when we kept them in the same setting for 8 years, we were walking them across that stage as they got their attendance diplomas, but we were really not preparing them for positive post-high school outcomes. And we just had to wrestle with it and how we would be best able to serve these families that were in such turmoil. The school system, for most of the children, been provided care for them since they were 3. And here we were, cutting them loose at 22, and we had no options, not a one. And the funding for all post-high school outcomes comes through a funnel, but starts with the federal government. And there are thousands and thousands of students that are on those waiting lists. So we have to step up to the plate and adequately prepare parents and students for what comes next.
All right, so with the Transition Academy, then my academic work will in essence end when I'm 18, and then I move into this post-transition work with Transition Academy, is that?
Pretty much, pretty much, and we're not telling you that all academics will be cut off.
Right,
because these students, they'll still have appointments to go to, they'll still need to know how to tell time, they'll need to know, how to access the public transit JTA. So there will be some things that we'll still teach them academically. However, we just want to prepare them
as best you can.
As best we can for those functional living skills.
Okay, all right. Which is challenging in every individual's situation.
But Steve, one thing we know about this group, these are our most significantly, they're low-functioning students, but some of them can hold a job. There will be a group that can hold a job. And that middle group, they can hold a job with some type of support. Now, we know that there are some students who will not be able to hold a job, but we want to improve their quality of life for when they're living at home with their parents. We want them to be able to assist in the home. We don't want them to sit on the couch all day and watch TV, So their quality of life can be enhanced. And that's our goal for the Transition Academy.
What got you both into this work?
My mother was the second special ed teacher in Madison County.
And, going back how far then?
That would have been in the early 60s. And she had a
changed world since then,
Oh yes. She had 20 plus students, no assistants on the second floor. She loved it. I never heard a discouraging word from her mouth about her situation or any of her students, and it was carried over into our home life.
And me, it started in the 4th grade as a Girl Scout. We visited Arlington Developmental Center.
Which is closed since then?
Oh, long ago. After we visited that, I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. And I never changed my mind about it. I wanted to work with special needs people.
It's the Transition Academy, and it will be at Northside High School.
It will.
It will target individuals' special needs challenges from 18 to 22. And as you heard, with some passion, prepare them for transition. If people want to know more about this, how do they find out about this? Or is there an enrollment process you go through, or is it just funneling people that are already in the system?
Absolutely.
Okay, all right, so.
Absolutely. So any students who are currently participating in our community-based learning class, if they're 18 to 22, they will go to the Transition Academy. If we have a student to transfer within our district from another school system. If they participated in comprehensive development classes and meet the age group, they'll be transitioned into the academy.
Is this pattern on programs that you've seen elsewhere? I mean, are there things, or are we kind of just responding to need here and saying, well, we've got to do something else?
I think that a lot of school systems are seeing a need for it. Now, we've been wanting to do this for about 5 years. For about 5 years, because the parents have been calling. What can I do with my child, you know? And several years back, one of our teachers actually went to a conference, and one of the presenters was talking about an academy that they had, and she brought it back, and we've been working on it ever since.
Transition Academy, one thing's coming out of the Vision 2020 as we restructure education here in Jackson, Madison County. It's a pleasure to see you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate what you do very much, and we're fortunate to have George Champion and Margaret Dugan as reflective of people that are committed to public education in a very special way. Black History Month was during the month of February, and we transition. We'll be talking next to Dr. Brian Chandler, and we're going to show you some of the highlights from Black History Month in the Jackson Madison County School System as we continue front row here at EPlusTV 6.
Now get even more channels with your EPlus broadband cable subscription. Check out the new channels. In the expanded tier, we moved BBC America to channels 86 to 86 HD. In the Digital Plus tier, we added the independent film channel, channels 112 and 712 HD, and Sundance TV on 108, 708 HD. For a copy of the new lineup, go to EPlusBroadband.com.
The living room. It's a great place to watch TV. Just like your backyard, break time at the office, or waiting for your ride. Now you can watch TV everywhere. Stream your favorite shows or live TV from many channels in your cable package on any computer, tablet, or smartphone. It's all included with your EPlus broadband cable TV for no extra cost. Sign up to watch TV everywhere today. Visit EPlusBroadband.com to learn more.
Ready, set, go for it. It's your adventure. This is your GAC.
Welcome back to Front Row, our look at public education in the Jackson Madison County School System. We're joined by Dr. Brian Chandler. Technical title is Jackson Madison County School System Leader of Elementary Education and Projects, which means he is responsible for implementing all the things involved in Vision 2020. If you think about this, if I understand this, I want to get Dr. Chandler to either confirmation or challenge to this, that when the smoke and dust settles next fall, that everything is supposed to be in place that everybody's going to need at the brand new locations, no matter where they are, and you're the guy that's responsible for that.
Well, I'm part of the team responsible for that. There's a large group of us that are working on that, but yes, we are responsible for making sure that the teachers have what they need to start school. And so that has been one of the driving factors in all the work that we have been doing. Our goal is that even before we knew how many buildings were going to be affected, we had many meetings with teachers starting in late September and October. And so we met with teachers and we said, you know, during this transition, many of you have been through this before. So what were some of the pitfalls that we had before? What were some of the things that didn't take place that you need to have taken place? And so we got a lot of input from our teachers and our staff.
What did they tell you?
Well, the main thing that they said was that they wanted to be able to walk into their classrooms and have the materials that they need to teach class on the first day of school.
Oh, first day of school, okay.
Right. So we talked about what does that look like? You know, what are the things that you have to start school? And so through a lot of robust discussion, we literally made a list of some kind of non-negotiable items that they needed to have in their classroom. And from that list, that will be what drives us to make sure that in the move process, that when they show up, when buildings open on July the 18th, that those items are there.
In their classroom.
Right, and then we talked about, you know, that there will be some items that they will still want, but they may not have, that are still in maybe in some of our buildings because they've either closed or been repurposed. Okay. And so we're going to build out a kind of a requisition database and say, all right, these are the items that are available. And they can go on that website, on our website, and say, hey, I would love to have a kidney-shaped table, for example. Do a reading project, and then they'll put in an order for that, and then we'll get that delivered out to them. Yeah.
So that is necessitated you then taking an inventory of everything that we have.
Exactly. One of the first items that we knew we had to do to make this project work was we had to know what we have. And for years, we've been kind of antiquated in our inventory. It's been teachers writing down on a piece of paper. Then we kind of moved into a database, but it wasn't a very user-friendly database. You couldn't manipulate it like an Excel spreadsheet. And so we had some departments that were using an automated web-based inventory called the WASP system. Our title projects were using that, and also our technology. So it was kind of a no-brainer to go with putting all of our general purpose items on there. So we developed a team of 40 employees, and they're working after hours, and we're paying them, and they have been blitzing the schools since the first week of February. And they started on a Saturday at Beach Bluff, and we went out and trained them, and then they blitzed that building and inventoried everything in the building, and I believe they just finished up this week. And so all of our buildings have been completely inventoried, and what that encompasses is that we put a barcode, just like what you would see at the grocery store, and we can use one of the like handheld wands, just like you see at the grocery store, and now we can scan that item. It goes right into our database, and then we can control what that cost of that item is, the current update of replacement costs. So not only will it let us know what's in our buildings, it will also help us on our insurance premiums to be able to get a much more accurate number for what physical assets we have there. So it'll help with when we negotiate for a premium. Plus, if we have an incident where we have a fire or roof comes off a building like we've seen before and rain comes in, then we'll have a better ability to know what type of a claim we have and get the best possible resources.
The logistics, and I guess it will have to happen this summer after school closes. And
Correct.
Before we open, then you've got to then start relocating.
Correct. And we are in the process right now of working through what that move process will look like. And I know it's on the agenda for the board on Thursday night. And we put that out for bid, the moving contract, because we know we do not have the physical manpower nor the equipment to do this large scale of a move. I mean, if you think about moving your house and what that entails, and we're talking about millions of square feet and millions of dollars worth of materials. So we have a company, a relocation company, that has submitted some quotes on different levels of the move, from what we think is the most advantageous for everyone, but also being, understanding that dollars, are impactful in how it impacts our budget. And so the board will hopefully we'll get a decision on that fairly soon so we can start that process, because we have from the last day of school, which is roughly May 20, to July 17 to make this happen.
Because just in listening to you, think about this, Brian, that, you know, I mean, we're talking about academic stuff, but then we're talking about athletic stuff, we're talking about food services, I mean, we're talking about all kinds of equipment.
That is correct.
Other things that would have to be inventoried, right, and transitioned.
And that is why it's so important.
Use continued or discontinued, whatever the decision is made, but right?
And that's why it's so important that we use a professional service, because, yes, we're talking about large items, we're talking about many items. For example, in the move contract that we're looking at, we're talking about almost 17,000 boxes. You know, and so it's things like that, because
it's library books,
it's library books, and it's teachers, computers, the items that are in their classrooms, and you know, and those are the things. You know, it's the human element that we've really tried to, in this process, we've really tried to be very thoughtful of, because you know, the desk and the chairs and the books and all that stuff, we'll get those things moved. They don't have any emotions, but our teachers, you know, these are important things to them. You know, these are things they've accumulated over years. These are the resources they need every day, and they rely on every day to teach the students in our classrooms. And so we want to make sure that we have those in their hands, so that when they walk in,
they've got their stuff.
They've got their items that they need.
My stuff. Okay.
The things that they need to be successful, right.
One thing I want to ask you about, and I was shared with Dr. Chandler prior to this, recently toured a few months ago with Robert Rooks, the museum that they have in Haywood County, where I think they have preserved everything that has to do with Haywood County athletics since 1912. It was an amazing thing. And then asking about transitions like when Mary High School went away, when Jackson High School went away, the trophies of the Golden Bears and all these other things. You know, what happened to all of that, and sometimes, you know, things just disappear, or it's like, well, we're going to get past that, and we really don't want to take care of that. I take it now with West High School and or West Middle School, but the West campus is closing, Jackson Central Mary closing. Correct. There are things of sentimental value to those schools and to those alumni that somebody will want to preserve. Right?
Yes, and that has been in our discussion from day one. You know, how do we properly give respect to those items that have a lot of history to them and are very important to large segments of our community, because, you know, we have many Jacksonians that went to those schools and have cherished memories of all what those trophies represent. And so we are looking at ways to highlight those, to where are the places that we can display those items, maybe in public venues around the county, where people can see them if they want to, but so that we know if somebody says, hey, where is the the graduating class picture from JCM from 1982, we can say, oh, it's at this location, or that we know it's stored in a secure location, because we know sometimes when different groups have their reunions, that's something that they request oftentimes. Can we come and get our senior photo, and they'll have that available for their reunions. So we want to make sure that they're either displayed properly or that they're stored in a secure location, so that we can get those to those individuals and alumni associations when they do want to see those.
Boy, in the midst of all that, then you're also responsible for elementary education and all these transitions. It's like, right, that's getting hit with 15 priorities at one time, right?
Since the December board meeting, we've been busy.
Okay.
There's been very little rest. I told my wife and my family, I said, don't even think about summer vacation this year. You know, we're all about Vision 2020 and moving.
Yes, sir. Dr. Chandler will place all the athletic equipment when we finally decide who all is going to get to play where.
Well,
right?
That is correct. that seems to be the
it's the big
topic,
thing, an important thing. Sure.
And obviously it's
a lot of moving parts.
Right.
A lot of moving parts.
A lot of moving parts.
It's good to visit with you.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it very much, and appreciate what's being done. Just a glimpse into the immensity of this challenge, and people that are dedicated, you know, out front and behind the scenes to making this happen. A real pleasure to talk with Dr. Brian Chandler. It's good to see you.
Thanks, Steve.
We're going to be talking to Catherine Korth coming up, and she is the leader of assessment and accountability. We'll talk about testing, TN Ready, and all of that. We're also going to show you some highlights from the art show that was recently held. In fact, the art display is continuing at the Bank of Jackson.
This commercial isn't going to shock you or make you laugh, but it just might save your life. Every one of these people is alive today because someone else took the time to give blood. Hopefully, the person that gives blood for you is watching this too. Do you have time? Please give blood.
Look around this league right now. Something is happening. Something is different. The game hasn't changed. We've just never seen it like this. The NBA on ESPN all season long.
Welcome back to Front Row at EPlusTV 6, our visit and focus on public education in the Jackson-Madison County school system. If you're just joining us, I hope you'll catch us on replay. We talked to Joyce Champion and Margaret Dugan about the Transition Academy, the work that is underway with special needs students that are between the ages of 18 and 22 who stay with our school system until they are age 22. It's very important work, and they are obviously passionate about this and the new Transition Academy that's part of Vision 2020. And then Dr. Brian Chandler, just the logistics of closing campuses, relocating everything, and making sure everything is set up and ready to go next fall. It's going to be quite a challenge, and appreciate the insights into how that task is being handled and the immensity of that task and how complicated that is. And because we still have some floating and moving parts out there. With us now is Catherine Korth, and she is the leader of assessment and accountability in the Jackson-Madison County school system. And that encompasses what, Catherine?
Well, one of my responsibilities is to coordinate all of the different tests that are taken within the system and make sure that we get them all administered in the proper manner, make sure everybody's trained and everybody understands the purposes. I also do a lot of the data desegregation once the results come back from those tests.
So it's your responsibility to kind of break that down and say, okay, here's where we are, here's what I see.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, so that's a daunting task. This has been exacerbated this year by what happened with the T&Ready Ready program. We're coming off of TCAPs, which we'd finally kind of had our pattern down, I think. Everybody knew what they were, and we kind of got into this. And the state of Tennessee decided to move into a different direction with our Commissioner of Education, that we were going into TN Ready. The design was to be computerized testing, a great ideal that it would facilitate all this. We'd get rid of the pencil and paper. We'd go to a testing assessment that would be more reflective of a child's overall learning and capability with reasoning and other things. And so we heard all the presentation. The thing is, we ran into, and Catherine doesn't have to say this, I will, that we ran into just a logistical nightmare when the data transfers did not work into Nashville. And then there were just other challenges. Not all hands fit keyboards. And there were just many, many things with logistics to do this. But we are now going to pencil and paper, right?
That's
We're
correct.
going back this year. And so we've punted. They've punted in Nashville. And so that's not any of Catherine's responsibility. She's just responsible for taking this and making it work. So where are we now as we move through March?
Well, we actually did have our high schools, because they're block scheduled, the first group actually took their first round of tests in November and December. So we had a successful administration with the online testing for our high schoolers in November and December.
Oh, good.
But what the state saw was then when a much larger group came on board with the 3rd through 8th graders.
Different data load.
Yes, they weren't able to handle it. So the very first day of testing, I believe it was February 8th, we were scheduled to begin February 9th. So luckily we were not impacted by the failure, but there was just a massive data failure.
So what happened then after the failure of February 8th and everything just stopped? Is that because the state had expanded the window because they recognized, I think, there were going to be some challenges. Anytime you do something new, there would be. And so they broadened it out. So February 8th, everything breaks down, and so they just go, time out?
Yeah, so beginning, I believe, at 8:30 in the morning, there was communication coming out that they were having some problems, and then everybody was advised just to stop testing. And luckily that didn't impact us, and then by the end of the day, the commissioner had announced that we would be taking paper and pencil tests moving forward.
So what is, then the state all this stuff has arrived, and so we're ready to begin now in the month of March?
Well, there's still a handful of districts, including us, that are waiting to receive our materials, but we are scheduled to receive them tomorrow, and testing is scheduled still to begin on Monday. It took it's been a month, but it takes a very large amount of time to print the millions of tests and millions of answer documents that were necessary to make this conversion back to paper and pencil testing from online testing.
Okay. What then, because people that are involved in this obviously are very, very aware, many people will not be, what they're going to be looking at are the results. What is you've been watching this, you assess this. I mean, it's got to have an impact on how well we're going to be able to perform.
So we already knew that this was going to be a different kind of year because it's a new assessment, different types of questions, and we already had a timeline knowing that we would not get individual student results back until the fall because over the summer, this process hasn't changed. There's going to be a team of educators that are working to basically set the bar, to evaluate the results that come out of these tests and decide, okay, now that we've seen how everybody in the state has done, what is the level that's going to be necessary for students to be proficient? What is the level that's going to be necessary for students to be advanced? So that
that's a
process
floating
is
thing right now.
Yes, and it's not, the process for that has not changed. It's just the avenue for how the data is going to come in.
The testing, however, is changing from multiple choice and whatever into other types of questions, which gets us into, it's subjective, I want to be real careful in using that, but if I got a true false or I got a multiple choice, I either get that right or not. And I may argue about the content of that question, right? But I either mark the right one or I don't. When we get into other types of descriptive things and use of language and other things, then that moves into an evaluation process. Who does that?
Well, there's a team. Measurement Incorporated is the company that the state has contracted with, and they have a team of scorers. The part one of the test is an open response. So for English language arts and for social studies, the students have to read a passage and they have to write an essay. And those essays are graded. However, there's a very defined rubric that everybody's been using. All of our teachers have been using it all year in preparation.
So the idea is my discussion needs to contain these points.
Correct. Yes. And then also with the math, it's open-ended. So you're right, where we used to bubble an answer and it was A, B, C, or D, and now on some of the questions there's just a box and they just have to write their answer in. So there'll be an element of hand scoring. That's why the test has been divided into two parts, with part one being earlier in the year because it's going to take longer to score those tests now.
The state will do that.
The Measurement Incorporated, which is who has the state contract.
Okay, they contract with the state.
Yes, is the one that does the scoring.
Okay. When you're looking at this from a local level, it's like, I think I would be holding my breath to say, I have no earthly idea. I mean, like I said, with T-caps, T-value, T-vac, and all, so it's like, okay, I kind of, here's how we're doing. Here's what I'm looking to do. Here's where I want to be next year. That this is a whole new process.
That's right. This is definitely a baseline year. The state from the very beginning has said that generally when a new assessment rolls out statewide that they will see that students perform poor on the first year of a new assessment. We've had those discussions. We just still, as long as the teachers have the standards in front of them, they know what is to be taught in fourth grade math, and the test is still aligned to that. So the bottom line is that they just have to teach to the best of their ability every day. The kids have to work as hard as they can, and then the results will come from that.
As leader of assessment and accountability, is your function just after it's all over with, okay, here's what it is, or do they look to you for input to say, okay, Catherine, how do we need to do this?
We've been talking logistics since the beginning of the year. So yes, my job is to...
It's both.
Yes, I definitely have had the primary training role for all of the district in terms of what these new assessments are going to look like, what it's going to take to get ready, the work that we had to do to make sure early on that we had enough computers to accommodate it all and that we could do the scheduling to make everybody, fit through those computer labs. So it's not at the end. I've been involved from the very beginning all the way through. And each building has a testing coordinator, one primary person that takes the lead for their building. So I've worked very closely with those individuals in each of those buildings.
Well, I asked Margaret and Joyce, I didn't ask Dr. Chandler how you got into this line of work out of all the things involved in education.
I was testing coordinator at Northside High School when I was an assistant principal for several years.
So what drew you to that? Or did you become assistant principal and they just said, okay, here, hey, oh yeah, by the way, congratulations. here's what you do.
Yeah, and my background is in math. I was a
Math,
math
okay,
teacher,
all right.
so numbers have always been my thing. So,
Okay,
yeah,
so you
that's
don't
kind
mind
of,
this.
Yeah,
Okay.
I might have been asked to do it. I don't know if anybody volunteers for that.
Okay.
But I do think that in education, it's so important to make decisions based on data and to know what it is that I think it serves a very important purpose, and I take it very seriously to just make sure that the schools know how to use the data that they have to help make good educational decisions for their students.
I think one of the marvelous things about this, at least in theory, is that we have, it's not data. There's a child attached to that, and that we have data on each child. So that's a marvelous thing in some ways, if that's an accurate assessment. And I know that's a lot of the continuing discussion. How do I come up with a test that's reflective of what's happening in a child's life or what needs to happen? Creativity is, those are the challenging things in education, I think. But I applaud the effort. I think this state, with Dr. Sanders and everything else from the very beginning, has made a really bona fide effort to do this and do this well. And I hope this continues, Well, anyway, I don't envy your position, but I'm glad you're there. It's fascinating to see this. And so, is it fair to say we will be holding our breath, just a baseline year, right?
That's correct, and whatever.
But everybody
data,
understands this is a baseline year.
That's right.
We're
and
starting
just,
over.
Whatever data comes out, we're going to use it to make some sound decisions moving forward.
So we're not jumping off the bridge when T and Ready comes out. We're just going to be ready to go and say, okay, here's where we are. And here's where we go. It's good to see you.
Correct. You
Appreciate
too.
what you do very much. Catherine Korth with us, a leader of assessment and accountability with the Jackson-Madison County School System. Read Across America was a recent event and a very, very good one. And we got some highlights from that as we continue. And then we'll visit again with Ginger Carver as we continue Front Row, our look at public education here at EPlusTV 6.
DVR. It changes the way you watch TV forever. DVR service lets you instantly record a single show or an entire season and even pause live TV with the push of a button. And now, EPlus Broadband can set you up with multi-room DVR so you can play, pause, control your TV choices from any room in your home. Start a show in one room, finish in another. It will change your life. Learn more about multi-room DVR. Call or visit EPlusBroadband.com today.
Okay, Josh, do your stuff.
Okay, people, you know the drill. Canned foods only, guys.
Sometimes you gotta live what you believe up in your arms, 'cause that's where it starts. Right here with you and with me. What the world needs now is love.
Generosity, pass it on.
A little help from up above. Faith to me.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
Now get even more channels with your EPlus broadband cable subscription. Check out the new channels. In the expanded tier, we moved BBC America to channels 86 to 86 HD. In the Digital Plus tier, we added the Independent Film Channel, channels 112 and 712 HD, and Sundance TV on 108, 708 HD. For a copy of the new lineup, go to EPlusBroadband.com.
Welcome back to the front row at EPlusTV 6, our look at public education in the Jackson-Madison County School System. We're going to visit again with Ginger Carver, who's Marketing and Public Relations Specialist for the school system. One of the things I like about doing this program is meeting the people that are involved with education. I don't know that I would have met Joyce Champion or Margaret Dugan or you know, know Brian, but you know, see them or Catherine, these people. It helps me, and I hope it helps everybody, to see the commitment of people that are involved in this, whatever they're doing. And you know, and to talk to someone that said, well, I decided to do this when I was in the 4th grade to work with special needs individuals is just, and there are those stories all throughout this system.
Absolutely.
And I always find it impressive. Also, and this is a personal commentary. I made a decision years ago to stay in Jackson and say do whatever life I've got in this city. But one thing about this community that I've always found impressive, and the work that Joyce and Margaret are doing is reflective of the fact that we now, with public education, make every effort and commitment to educate every person in this community to whatever level they can be educated. That's an extremely expensive thing to do in some individual cases because there are medical challenges and other things. But, you know, we fundamentally in this country do believe that every person has a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is an individual identity thing, and it's not endowed by our Creator. It's not something that I'm given. It's something that I am because I am living and breathing and born on this planet. And in this community, back in the days when school systems did not accept children that they felt could not be educated, that, like I said, with Madison Haywood Development Services, with the Cerebral Palsy Center, with the Kiwanis Center, Johnny Parham, all these people, I think about Doris Freeman, all these people that for years raised money. This community on its own, without big federal money or whatever, made the effort, just as we've done with the Star Center or the Child Abuse Center or anything, is this community has always made an effort to step up and to do the things that are necessary to provide a life quality opportunity for people. And I find it fascinating. Of course, now the school system assumes responsibility for a lot of that. Right. But then you can tell in talking to Joyce and to Margaret that there was also that sense of there needs to be more for these individuals, and we can adapt. And so I wish them the best with the Transition Academy and salute those who are involved in 2020 to help me put that piece in here. And be anxious to see how it works out, because that is one of the most challenging segments of this life, I think. Right. For those families. So I appreciate the opportunity to see them. And I don't envy Catherine Korth in her job. Yeah. You know, like I said, moving targets with assessments out there. But I guess it's reflective in talking to Dr. Chandler and everybody else that, well, there are a lot of moving parts to this transition. I mean,
and those are just 3.
Yeah,
so.
Out there. And so a lot of discussion. And it has to be a challenge, I guess, for everybody involved. I would hope that we don't give up on this. We've been through monster transitions before. I mean, we went through integration in this community. I mean, we, like I said, closing down schools to make North Side, closing down schools to make South Side, and all that stuff. You know, 6, 7 years from now, children that are coming into school will have been born after all this took place. The people that are in middle school and high school now will have been graduated, and they'll have moved on. And so, you know, it won't take but just a few years, and we'll just assume it was always this way, right? Until we get ready for the next transition out there. But it is a challenge right now.
It is, and it's hard for everybody, but it's great to see everybody pulling together to make it happen. Okay. There, like you said, there are a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of pieces that have to be dealt with daily, and some that maybe, you know, when we were back in the planning stages of this, we didn't think of, we didn't think about that piece of it, but we're making it happen. We're making it work, and it's not just 2 or 3 folks in the district that are making this work. I mean, there are hundreds of staff that are working on this every day, and while we still continue to educate the students. Okay.
Because, you know, one of the continuing discussions that's been going on, we'll see how it's resolved, is just like the athletic programs within schools and also because we're creating new kinds of schools. K through 8s are new kinds of schools here, and the content of those, the numbers, and, you know, the kind of programs they can offer as opposed to a more consolidated middle school and elementary school. All these things are moved around out there. And then I guess also with open enrollment, it'll be interesting to see what the interest and demand for different programs in different locations. We really don't know that yet.
No, we don't. And, you know, I would think that maybe open enrollment, the need for that might grow less as people get where they want to be.
Well, if we can ever settle the clusters in the designated areas and the school assignments, and I think we're headed that way, then maybe we will minimize this. There will be fewer transitions and other things. So I'm hoping. We've got also some key campus movement because the Montessori school is moving to Tigard.
Yes.
And so, I mean, there are just a lot of logistics here.
There are. And it's got, a lot of the work has to be done in a short amount of time because we are
wait till
continuing.
after school, right?
We continue to have school until May, and then so from May till mid-July,
Hey, maybe this will delay start school till September now.
Yeah. Students would love to hear that. We have a lot of folks that would like to hear that.
Let's wait till after. Let's wait till after Labor Day to come back to school because we need the 3 months to get everything, just get the desk ready. Okay. It wasn't until talking to Dr. Chandler when Brian was talking about this that, you know, boy, that's everything. That's pots and pans. That's not just books and desk and whatever. It's a ton of stuff.
There's a lot of things that go into making a school work every day.
Okay. And so
that we don't think about, but
we'll see.
We're beginning to.
We have some special recognitions that we have yet to mention, and that is Greg Hammond's group at South Side High School. They have a video production group there. They do very good work. We've shared some of their programming here, and you see their work at every Board of Education meeting, or many of them, where they do video highlights, and that's all done through video production company at Southside, and they have won some awards.
They have, and we're going to work to get them on our next show to be able to communicate all the. There was a whole list of awards that his students have won, and things like developing commercials and PSAs and different categories there. So we are very proud of them, proud of him for the work that he does with those students.
A lot of recognitions, and of course, Madison Academic, the academic decathlon team, they've just been a perennial power. It goes back to JCM's academic decathlon team a few years ago, transitioned to Madison Academic, that they have just continued, and so they are continuing to win.
They are. They just recently won the state championship again. They will go to nationals, which this year will be in Alaska.
In Alaska.
So they are working diligently to get the funding they need in order to make that trip.
To make that trip. All right. Some things coming up. We have a very, very important parent workshop coming up on the 15th. And I understand this will date our program, but we do want you to be aware of that. Coming up on 15th at North Parkway Middle School. It'll be from 5 until 7 to give you an idea of what a day in the life of a Jackson-Madison County school student is. So all parents are welcome to be there. You don't register in advance for that.
No.
The lottery is the 17th. And then I had a note about Saturday, April the 2nd. 9 till noon?
That will be our Talent Discovery Day.
Okay.
Those are, that's an opportunity for teachers maybe outside of our district or those inside of our district that might want to see what some other options might be within our schools to find out what job positions are going to be available.
And you'll be able to meet with principals of the schools?
You will.
How does that actually work? I mean, does everybody just kind of have a space and you walk up and say,
you do.
Hi, I am
you do.
Ms. Carver, I'm Steve Bowers.
Each school has their little table and they decorate it, make them look pretty, but then they have their staff there, maybe a principal, assistant principal.
Do you bring anything? Do you bring resumes or other things?
It would be good to have a printed resume. We'll have our Learning Center open as well, where because now, you know, you can go and apply online for all of our positions. So we'll have folks available there to help you walk through that.
To walk through that. That's coming up on April the 2nd from 9 until noon.
And that will be at the School Service Center, so very easily accessible. Right. And we've got lots of, also, we haven't talked about our extending learning schools that will be at Lane and Arlington. We have delayed those a year. They're going to work on those a little bit longer.
We will go to year-round schools there.
Well, for those 2 schools, for the K through 3, they will. We're also forming a parent advisory group, well, community advisory group there.
If I go to jmcss.org, can I find out about this?
You can.
Plug into those things. Okay. All right, so do that. There, as you can tell from this, it's very, very important work and many, many moving parts. We appreciate this opportunity to visit all these folks. And our thanks to Joyce Champion and for Margaret Dugan for being with us, Dr. Brian Chandler, and also to Catherine Korth, and wish her the very best too. You know, because, well, I don't know. Tina Reddy, maybe here a couple of years we'll get a new governor. We may have a new education commissioner, so we'll see. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Thank you for being with us. We appreciate all the effort. And this is Front Row, our look at public education in the Jackson-Madison County school system here at EPlusTV 6.